Hi everyone, it's Amani from Amani Reads and Reviews, and today's video will be a book review on the book called Take a Ride with Me by Cara Joy. This is a Christian romance book. It's really sweet, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about it today. I do want to let you guys know, based on the characteristics of the characters in this book, I did use AI imaging to kind of create what I thought that the characters may look like. So I did put that throughout the presentation. So if you guys like that in the future, please let me know because I will definitely be utilizing AI imaging whenever I can because I do think it's really cool. But anywho, we're gonna go ahead and get started, and I hope you guys are doing well. All right, so we're going to talk about the background of the story. And if you guys see these little bulletin boards here, where I have quotations of what is similar to what the character said throughout the story, this is a character in the story. Her name is Cheska Ampa. And one thing that I wrote about her is, end quote, my future wedding and my future life has not gone as planned, and I can't stay here anymore. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about the background of her story. All right, you guys, let's get into this background. This is the story of a young woman who seemingly has it all: an accomplished nurse practitioner engaged to her high school sweetheart, a rising star in the legal world. Together, they appear to be the perfect couple with a picture perfect future. But behind closed doors lies a painful truth: betrayal. When she discovers that her man she planned to spend her forever with has never truly loved her and has been unfaithful, her world shatters. Heartbroken by the resilient Heartbroken, but she is resilient, she makes a bold decision to leave everything behind, fleeing the city that she once shared with her man, in search of a quieter, more honest life, a fresh start, a chance to heal, and maybe to rediscover herself along the way. Now, what I'm going to say that she said in the beginning of the story, I guess, is I really don't want to leave my hometown and my mother, but I have no choice. Okay, let's get into this character analysis. So this is Cheska Ampa. She is a successful nurse practitioner. She's a bit insecure about her body. She doesn't always feel worthy of love. She has a little trauma and she had a tougher childhood. Eventually, she loves to love the skin that she's in, and she has a good relationship with God, and she tries to develop it more throughout the story. Her name, Cheska, it means victory of the ship in the battle. And I felt that this, her name in this story does fit her so well because of the lifestyle that she had to live and what she had to endure. This not having her father in her life and this having a tougher time with not having her father has made her feel that she isn't worthy of love. And, having a man that she figured that she would marry for the rest of her life and he cheating on her, she didn't realize that, I don't think that anybody can love me anymore. So she does battle that throughout the story, and that is one of her adversities. And although she is, a nurse practitioner, she has a loving mother. She has people around her who truly do love her, family wise and otherwise. She doesn't always know that. So eventually she does become victorious. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know what happens towards the end of this presentation for Cheska. All right, so this is Cecilia Ampa. She is a wonderful mother and she truly supports Cheska. She wants the best for her daughter and has done all she could to ensure Cheska had a good life. She feels bad that Cheska did not grow up with her father in the household. And some of her characteristics, again, she is sweet and she's a loving mother. I will also say that Cecilia does mean like blind, and like I really don't want to get too much into it, but basically, I just felt like because like Cecilia didn't really realize that her daughter could have been affected with like not being able to have her father in her household. That kind of put a damper on a lot of stuff for Cheska, like romantically and emotionally. But the mom didn't really realize that when she was trying to keep her father around. It just never really worked out. But I'm gonna go ahead and like talk more about that later on in this presentation. But again, she is a sweet mother, and she really cares deeply for her daughter. Okay, this is Jemima. This is Cheska's favorite cousin, who's a bit silly at times, but she's truly down to earth. She provides biblical advice to Cheska when she really needs it, and she wants Cheska to find true love. She's really all serious and no nonsense when it comes to Cheska trying to give up on herself. Her name is Jemima, and biblically it means dove, and a dove is a symbol of peace. And I felt that throughout this story, Jemima was definitely a person of peace. Although she was silly, she always wanted to make sure that Cheska was smiling, and she wanted to make sure that Cheska knew how valuable and loved she was from her family and also from other love interests. And she just wanted her to know that don't never dwell in the past and dwell in something that's just not meant for you. So I really enjoyed this character. I wish she was more in the book, but throughout the book she did appear in the story, and I just felt that she was just such a great person in Cheska's life. All right, you guys, this is Brian. At the count of three, one, two, three, we're going to boo him. One, two, three, boo, Brian, boo. Anywho, this is a guy who played both women. The woman he got pregnant, and then also Cheska. So for his entire life, I guess, for his entire high school life, he was dating Cheska, but he always viewed her as a like sister, never as a romantic partner. So he wasted all of her years dating her, and he was sleeping around with the woman that he truly loved that went to law school with him. It's really unfortunate because this was someone that Cheska thought that she would spend the rest of her life with, and he was going around sneaking behind her back. If you guys can imagine how tough that could have been for Cheska if she would have went ahead to marry this guy, and he had like babies around him, like this could have been like the Diary of a Black Woman. It could have been like that because he would go back and forth with the person he truly loved, and then would kept Cheska around. It was just not healthy. So I'm giving him the title of Bird Brain Goofy because at the end of the day, you don't string along somebody that you don't like. You wasted 4 years of high school, and then you wasted what 6 to 7 years to let her know, okay, well, we both just graduated from like getting our graduate degrees. We're becoming successful in our career fields. Oh, by the way, I'm not going to tell you that I got someone pregnant because the woman that he was with ended up telling her. So the guy is just a coward all in all. Like he couldn't even tell Cheska. She had to wait. Like he waited until she found out. So yeah, I didn't really like this guy. He was just a waste of space. All right, you guys, this is Zadok Joel. He is a handsome man who is successful and thoughtful surgeon in his community. He works kind of in like an underprivileged area, and I know throughout the story there had been a few coworkers he used to work with or went to school with. They wanted him to work at a much more successful clinic so that he can, I guess, make more money, be more successful. But he really wanted to get back to his community and continue being a surgeon at like the local hospital and everything. So I thought that that was really great for this character. He is a God-based man who is looking for a wife and hasn't ever loved any woman as much as he has really considered loving Cheska. So what I mean by that is that when he first met her, he was kind of having like feelings for her that he's never had for any other woman. He's not superficial. He deeply loves his family and desires to have his own family one day. He tries to cheer Cheska up often and is romantic. And for his name, he also has a biblical name. Zadok means just or righteous. So I will say he is definitely a step up from Brian. He's never tried to do anything that was inappropriate for people who aren't married. He wanted to do things the right way. He's seen his parents do things the right way. He grew up in a really great household, and just overall is a great guy. And definitely really enjoyed this character as well. All right, you guys, this is Donna Abernathy. She is the grandmother of the doctor's office. She always gives her coworkers advice. She has worked at the facility for many years and can tell many things about what goes on in the office. She loves Zadok like her own son, and she looks after him and Cheska. She sets Cheska straight when it comes to Zadok's character. And what I mean by that is throughout the story, Zadok and Cheska kind of had this will they, won't they thing going on. And Donna definitely paid attention to that. She tried to make, both of them see like clearly on what they truly want in one another, and I feel like she was definitely a catalyst to push both of them towards actually speaking more to each other, because they were completely awkward with each other despite their attempts of actually going out with each other through like random events and random dates. So I call her the grandma of the office, not because of her age, but she generally has the characteristics of grandmothers. Like, she's just very concerning, she's very wise, she gives great advice, and she brings sweets to the office. She brought some strawberry filled pastries to the office, and that was like one thing that I felt like I thought was really cool, because if you ever worked in the office setting, or you ever worked with like older people, whether that be in healthcare or in the office, they're always trying to feed you. They always want to welcome you in, because it's obviously like a different era, of age. They are more caring, and they kind of like do things to kind of welcome you in so you can feel more at home. And I definitely think she definitely embodied this character. And the reason why I chose this picture, because she literally looks like an aunt of mine who also has these characteristics, and she also works at a hospital, and she's super sweet. So it just makes sense for me to like use this AI image. But yeah, she was also one of my favorite characters, because she mentioned a few times, like, look, if I had somebody who could treat me like this, like, what are you doing? Go after love. And that's pretty much been a message like a lot throughout the story. All right, you guys. So this is a very sweet couple. These are Zadok's parents, and they are the Joes. This particular couple is really sweet to really mention about, because they allowed God to move in their lives. Although they came from two different cultural backgrounds, Zadok's mother is originally from Ghana, and his father is originally from South Korea. But because they went to college together and they were in the international program, they decided, you know what, let's get to meet each other. And they realized that they really loved each other. So they fell in love with each other. And although, and like situations like this, you don't always have people to always support them often, because, it is a different background, it's a different culture, and like there's different things that happen with that realm, right? But these two, they decided to put God first, and they had a very righteous marriage, and continues to have a righteous marriage, and raised, I believe, 4 to 3 children. I forgot how many children they did have, but I do know that Zadok had a sister, and also Zadok, and I think he had 2 brothers or something like that. So these two couples enjoyed Cheska. They really loved her being around them. She was invited to church a few times. She was invited to baby showers. They just really loved that Cheska was just a good, genuine person, but they also loved that their son enjoyed her as well. So they always tried to like push them together as well. But just besides the point, I really did like this couple, because I just feel like they just represent like what God really wants in us to be. We it doesn't really matter about the cultures, like so many different cultures. It's like, if you're gonna really live for Christ, then that's like the most important thing that you do, because you can like put that on your kids too, culturally, I'm in America, just culturally different from what I've grown up with. Is similarities, but there are differences, just like in any other like couple, any couple situations. You could be similar, but then culturally you're different. So again, I really enjoyed this couple. I thought that they were so sweet. I love how they all raised their children, and although their kids kind of like pick on each other, they're just still genuinely sweet and supportive of each other. Okay, so let's get into the breakdown of the story. So this story follows young Cheska Ampa. She's originally from Brookville and she became a nurse practitioner. She was on track to marry Brian, her long time sweetheart from high school, but God had other plans with her when it was revealed that Brian has been cheating on her for like maybe 6 years, maybe even 10 years because they were in school the whole time. Devastated by this news, she decided to leave to go to Philly, and she worked at the University of Philadelphia's medical center where she worked as a nurse practitioner. She wanted to have clarity in her life and a new fresh start. Although it was very new to her, she didn't realize what she was getting herself into, but she realized that she could no longer stay in Brookville anymore. On the other hand, we have Zadok. He is a God fearing man and he didn't have a plan of wanting to be married yet, but he truly desired to want to be married because of what he's seen at church and also what he's seen growing up with his parents' relationship. It was something that he always wanted, but he's never had an interest in any other women until he's met Cheska. Um, Literally at work he automatically fallen in love with her, and he would find himself inviting her to random places such as his sister's baby shower, and he hadn't met her. It hadn't even been a month yet, and he invited her to a baby shower 2 weeks within even knowing her. So he was very comfortable with Cheska, and although he did not know it at the time, he definitely saw her as a wife. And if this is something that was revealed in the story throughout the story, that he does have issues with communication because he misinterprets what Cheska was saying to him. But for the most part, again, solid guy. Again, he has invited her to so many things, church, and his family loves her. It's just a really great situation so far. Zayna quickly wanted to make Cheska feel like Philly can be home for her. Every time both Cheska and Zadok were at work, they would find a way to speak to each other and often even eat lunch sometimes at the cafeteria. Even Donna realized how close Zadok was getting to Cheska. He did have conflicting thoughts because he's never dated anybody in the past. He's never been interested in other women in the past. So with Cheska it was like a newer experience for him, so the lack of communication on some of the aspects in their dating life was kind of misconstrued, although he genuinely wanted to get to know her and generally wanted to make things like work out with her. Yeah, eventually Zadok just starts inviting her to a lot of places and they get to know each other in a better way. So Zadok does invite Cheska to his sister's baby shower, and Cheska replies and says, "Is this a date?" She implied that it could have been a date because they were getting so close to each other. They generally like being around each other. But Zadok kind of quickly was like, "Oh, no, no, I just wanted to invite you." And he kind of shut down the idea of a date because he lacked the communication skills to let her know how he truly felt about her, and he made things very awkward. And because Cheska had a very tough time with Brian, she really didn't want to imply so much so quickly with Zadok, although that she was kind of digging him too. Didn't want to like make it seem like, oh, yeah, he really wants me, because she didn't want to be let down again. And like, let's be honest, like if we were in that situation, we would have did the same thing, because you just generally don't know. Sometimes men, like in this type of stage, they just generally want to hang out, I guess. But I mean, sometimes men don't want to do that. Sometimes they just want to do something they ain't supposed to be doing too. You feel me? But in this case, like he definitely liked her a lot, and that's why he kept pursuing her. And I've heard in the past, like with men, like cousins and stuff, and like guy friends, even like my own spouse when we were just friends, like they're gonna keep pursuing you because they like you, and if they didn't, they wouldn't do that. And it's the same thing with women. Women do that too. Like, you don't like somebody, you don't string them along. You don't do what Brian did and string somebody along for 15 years and then get somebody else pregnant, because that's just lame. So anywho, they had the baby shower. So yeah, we're gonna talk more about that on the second slide. All right, the outings. The first event we have is the baby shower event. Zadok's family loves Cheska at first sight and wants her to continue to come to events with their family. Cheska loved Zadok's family, and when she hugged Zadok's father, she felt that she could cry because she's never had such a connection with a man other than her pastor. So she just really enjoyed just that hug because, it felt like Zadok's father could have been her own dad. So that was definitely a plus, and that was a good moment and like the spark of Zadok and Cheska's relationship. The second outing was the ice skating rink. Zadok noticed that Cheska was having a tougher time, so he invited her to an ice skating rink. And this time it was an actual date. Cheska seemed nervous at first, but Zadok ensured that she felt safe. This is a great day to let both Zadok and Cheska get to know each other better. Then they have the special dinner night. Zadok and Cheska go on a fancier date and get dressed up and wanted to impress each other. Cheska didn't feel nervous with Zadok, but she did tell him everything that happened in her last relationship with Brian. And she liked that Zadok looked at her and held her hand while she was speaking. And one thing that I liked about Zadok, he did ask her, "Hey, do you still have feelings for Brian? Like, do you still have any care for Brian?" And I felt like that was such an important question to ask because Zadok was really looking for a wife in Cheska. Like, he wanted to make sure that she wasn't still having like feelings of Brian. She wasn't still like trying to like chase back after him. Because like, let's be real, like these are both successful people in the medical field, and often a lot of times they spent their whole lives, their whole like a young adult lives in school, and like when they're ready to settle down, either man or woman or what have you, like they're ready to settle down just like any other person who's marriage minded. So when you think about it, it was like when he asked that question, he's just like he's trying to make sure that they are both on the same accord for a better future. And I really like that the author even like put this in the book, because oftentimes when you read something and you watch something that's similar to this, that's not really spoken about. It's never spoken about, hey, do you still have these strongholds from your last relationship? Do you have all of these ties to the last partner you've been with? Because that does like affect a relationship so bad to the point where people literally break up. You can break up with a nice person because you haven't healed yourself. And even if that does happen, it's because God wanted that to happen to begin with, because you really shouldn't be with somebody if you're not healed. And the fact that Cheska left Brookville to begin her healing process, that was a good sign for her, because she eventually does heal herself, because she rips up the wedding dress she had with Brian, and she completely kind of calms down from like even mentioning Brian and everything. Even when she visits her mom, she does see Brian with his new wife and baby, and she doesn't get upset about it because she's like, whatever, bump that, because I'm with the new guy or have interest with the new guy, and I'm healing myself. So that was a spot on question that Zadok asked. Who is Cheska Ampa? So this will be like a full in-depth like meaning of who this character is and what exactly happened in the story regarding her. And I'm gonna also do this with Zadok as well. So I'm just trying to kind of get a full grasp of what the story entailed. Getting to know Cheska. The main reason why Cheska moved to Philly was to find herself after a horrible breakup with her high school sweetheart Brian. She thought that she loved him, and that was the only reason why they were getting married to begin with. Brian never made her feel bad about her body type, but he did reveal that he never loved her romantically. He cheated on her their entire time they were in graduate school. The woman that he was in love with, he got her pregnant, and he was sleeping with her through the entire time they were planning their wedding. The only reason Cheska found out that Brian was becoming a father was because Brian's baby mama felt bad for Cheska and the situation, so she decided to meet Cheska around her 8 month mark of being pregnant at a coffee shop to let her know, hey, Brian has been sleeping with me. Brian has been in love with me for the past few years. She was just pregnant and everything, which started Cheska's spiral because she was completely unaware for years that Brian had intentions of, finding another person. So eventually he asks her if they can still be friends, and Cheska decides that, look, is this too much for her? She's leaving Brookville, rightfully so. So what the question that Cheska asked is, Brian, you can't be serious. You want us to be friends after you conveyed to me that you never loved me, had a baby on me? This is such a nightmare. Cheska has had a tougher time as a child. The major reasons why in the story she did not allow Zadok to love her the way that she deserves is because she felt neglected in her childhood because she didn't have her father around. Although Cheska had a wonderful mother and she was a nurse practitioner, her trauma constantly got in the way of her peace. During Thanksgiving break, she goes to visit her mother and she starts to speak about all the good things about Zadok, but she found it hard to really like truly love him because she conveyed to her mother and cousin about how she felt that because her dad left is the reason why she can't be in love and everything. So she went to the motions. So her mom sat her down and told her that it was not her father's fault that her father was not in her life. Her mother revealed that she had gotten pregnant to try to keep her father around, knowing that her father was in love with someone else. She also mentioned to Cheska that she should not let her mother's mistakes keep her from true love. And I'd like to say, although I do know the sentiment of what her mother was saying regarding, I guess, regarding the situation with her father, but at the end of the day, like when you are sleeping around, it's always going to be a chance of pregnancy. So it really does not matter that the dad did not like Cheska's mom, because at the end of the day, you can't force somebody to get rid of their child. You can't force somebody to, like, not do what you want them to do. And I just feel like it's, again, cowardly, and it's just sad that, like, this almost happened to Cheska, like, and with Brian, because at the end of the day, you don't do stuff like that. Like, yeah, a man can say all day, "Oh, well, I didn't want the baby," but yeah, you wanted to sleep around though. You can't do stuff like that. And like, yeah, the women, like her mom is also accountable for that, and that's why she told Chester to begin with, hey, like, it's not all your dad's fault, or it really isn't your dad's fault because I made this decision on my own, which is true, and she should have been healed enough to not do that. But like that generational curse kind of followed her, already followed her mom, and then was going to follow Cheska, but her mom broke that pattern because she was a loving mom. She was a caring mom. She didn't allow certain things to kind of attack Cheska, but she never really realized that Cheska had such a huge issue with not having her father around. So, I didn't grow up with my father, so I didn't want to experience love again. What if it doesn't work out like it didn't with Brian? What if it ends horribly? Cheska comes back to Philly and Zadok picks her up from the airport. They embrace each other and truly loved each other. But because Cheska is still distraught on the past few months she's had with Brian and kind of finding out a lot of stuff about her father, she invites Zadok in for tea and explains to him that she should be taking things slower with him. This devastates Zadok because in his mind he is about the woman of his dreams. Cheska claims that she wants to get to know herself better, and she keeps Zadok out of the loop when it comes to her actually loving him. But he has nothing, he doesn't really want to be bothered with this at this point. So, because he misinterpreted what Cheska said, Cheska did not tell him that she did not want to see him anymore. She did not tell him that he should move away or go away. All she mentioned was, hey, let's just take things slow. Zadok got his mind in this meant that, oh, okay, she wants to just be with herself right now so she can grow as a person and this and that. So I'm just going to give her space. I'm just going to give her time. And this devastates him because he really likes her. He wants her to be his wife. And, he doesn't really understand what she really means, but he wants her to be as healed as she really needs to, and he'll wait on her. So something that was kind of similar to what Cheska said in the story is, I love Zadok, but I'm not sure why he wants to be with me. Someone like me, it doesn't make sense. Look at the woman he speaks to. This is all too much for me. So basically, Cheska thought that Zadok was talking to another woman, like a smaller woman, someone who was kind of on his level, but that wasn't the case, and she kind of misinterpreted what was going on, what she saw uh, two times throughout this story. All right, you guys. So now we're going to talk about Zadok Joe. And he says, I know what I'm looking for in a wife, and I found that in Cheska Ampa. I love everything about her. So we're going to talk more about Zadok. We're going to get to know him a bit. All right, getting to know Zadok. Zadok is an upbeat and caring man who grew up in a loving family. His family are godly people who love the Lord and their children and their church family. His mother met his father while in college. His mother is originally from Ghana and his father is originally from South Korea. Zadok's parents are very supportive of him and his siblings and always encourages them. Zadok's parents have been a huge role model and is something he aspires to be in his own marriage one day. Zadok never took the time to really wonder about love until he met Cheska. But going to church and being around his family and with his nieces and nephews and everything, he started to desire a family of his own. So he made it his mission to making Cheska happy. Although he has never realized that sometimes in the story that he truly loved Cheska, it started to click with him the moment he met her and invited her to his sister's baby shower. All right. So Zadok truly feels at peace with Cheska, and he didn't understand why, but it did not stop him from inviting Cheska to church and church with his family and other major events. Even his parents started to like Cheska, and they wanted Cheska around, and they also liked that Cheska made their son happy. Zadok is often the hero for Cheska because he notices when she's unhappy, he tries to cheer her up. At times, Zadok lacks effective communication skills because he misunderstands some of the points Cheska was making towards him, which ultimately led them to not speaking to each other for an entire month, which was hard on the both of them. Despite splitting up, Zadok deeply loves Cheska and wants to spend the rest of his life with her. He's also a God fearing man, so although they had some intimate feelings, they wanted to do the right thing and not kind of do, anything that was inappropriate. He reminds Cheska that he will never break her heart like Brian did, and he wants to spend the rest of his life with her. I am ready to settle down. I have eyes only for Cheska. All these other women are not on my radar. I have found a wife, and I will make that known to her somehow. All right, so let's talk about Donna's role in this story. I know these two too well not to see what's going on here. They love each other and they don't realize it. I will have to set things straight. Getting to know Miss Donna. Miss Donna has always loved Zadok and always looked after him because she had worked at the hospital with Zadok for years and knew him very well. So when he started to fall in love with Cheska, Miss Donna knew it was something big because Zadok has never had interest in other women before Cheska has come. Miss Donna played a role in the future couple getting to know each other a bit better, and she also had to set things straight in regards to Cheska's opinions of Zadok that were untrue. She had to let Cheska know that whatever woman he was sitting down with did not matter because the way that he would look at Cheska was out of pure love. Miss Donna wanted Cheska to know that if any man took the time, as much time and as care as Zadok did towards Cheska, then she would have loved him always. Miss Donna's wise words was one of the reasons why Cheska answered the text message of Zadok during their long month split apart. I know they love each other, but they are too stubborn to sit down and talk about their feelings. But I know Zadok is in love with Cheska. He has never gone out of his way to do anything for any other woman. This is true love. Period. Jemima's wise words. You have a Christmas miracle and you're sitting here moping with me. Come on, Cheska. Allow love to happen for you. Jemima loved Cheska and wanted the best for her. She couldn't stand to see her favorite cousin in such pain. Eventually, she wanted Cheska to realize how special she had things when finding new love. She tells Shasta that she needs to step out in faith with this new love and allow God to move and do his work. She mentioned the story about the woman who was bleeding for many years. Having faith in the Lord, she touched Jesus' garment and was healed due to having strong faith. Jemima wanted Cheska to have the same faith and that all things would work out for the glory of God and the good things at that. Mark 5, verses 27 through 29 speaks more about the lady leading for many years. Jemima wanted Cheska to have faith all above everything else, and love will follow her. Have faith in the Lord, and all that you want in life will be fruitful. Do not allow fears to keep you from your husband. Be happy in love. Some events leading to forever. How does the story end? When Cheska came back from Thanksgiving break, Zadok was planning to let Cheska know how he truly felt about her. Cheska never told Zadok that she never wanted to see him again. She just implied that they should take things slow. Zadok misunderstood. Zadok's parents are the reason why Zadok and Cheska had a second chance at love, because the Joes really wanted her to celebrate Christmas with them. When the Christmas church service was over, Zadok invites Cheska to his house because he really needs to get something off his chest. The talk. I want you to be my wife. I never wanted you to leave, Zadok. You misunderstood. Zadok invites Chester to his house and they have a deep conversation speaking about the terrible month they had apart from each other. Zadok pours into Cheska and let her know that he wants her to be his wife. Cheska is completely shocked that he even said that. She mentioned that to him and he reassured her that he wanted her to be his wife. She asked him about the woman that he was sitting with on a random day when they weren't talking, and he reassured her that she was simply a medical student, and he has always had feelings for Cheska the first day he met her. He also said he will never hurt her like Brian did, and if he could, do what married people do, he would. But they were making sure that they do the right thing, and that was pretty much what he was trying to get at. But it was just a respectful thing where he knew that this was his wife and he wanted to do the right thing. So officially, they became a couple on Christmas, like Christmas Day, which resulted in a proposal and a wedding. The epilogue and the finale of this beautiful story. A year later, after being happily married, the couple finds out that they are expecting, which makes them so excited. They finally have everything they have been waiting for: a godly relationship, a happy marriage, and a growing family. All right, you guys. So I'm giving this book a 10 out of 10. It was a great Christian romance and it was sweet. And I feel like it's something that a lot of people can relate to because, when you fall in love with somebody, like your special person, you want to make sure that you guys are literally equally yoked. And I feel like these two people are definitely equally yoked. I'm so happy that Cheska didn't have to stay with somebody like Brian. And I'm glad that she had the sense to not stay with Brian, not continue being friends with him because Brian seemed like the type of person that he will continuously play both the woman that he got pregnant and then also Cheska over and over again because he's a coward. So I'm glad that the author kind of just let her have some type of confidence and courage to move on. And a lot of times when you read rom-coms, that's really my favorite genre to read. But often when I have read rom-coms, it's always that will they, won't they, oh, I miss my ex who's really bad for me and I don't want anything to work with the new person and this and that. That happened a little bit, but it wasn't too bad because Cheska did get the clarity that she needed. She got the healing she needed. She ripped up that wedding dress that she was supposed to get married to Brian with. So it was really great to hear that because although it's a romance book, you always want to root for the main character, which is Cheska. You want her to be healthy. You want her to heal from her last relationship. Those are all good characteristics of what you need to do before you get into another relationship. And during her healing journey, she met a really great guy, so that's also a plus as well. As she wanted things to kind of go slowly with them, and rightfully so. She just got out of a very years long relationship with somebody that she thought she would spend the rest of her life with. So it was a really great read. I also liked Zadok. Zadok was awesome. I loved that he was just very intuitive when it came to Cheska's happiness. He wanted to make sure that he knew exactly who she was as a person. He asked a very phenomenal question about, hey, do you still like your last relationship? Do you still miss your ex? And that is such a powerful question to ask, because at the end of the day, when you are dating for like long term and for marriage, you want to make sure that you guys are healing correctly. You don't want to have any envy or resentment going into your next relationship. So um, I do like that. I love the dinner date that they had when they were able to kind of expose more of each other to one another, and he was just like holding her hand and just allowing her to talk. He didn't cut her off and everything, so that was really great. I think that was really cute, and I love the epilogue was so cute. Like, I'm so happy that they were able to kind of like quickly move on with things, because sometimes things can be drawn out when you read romance stuff, and it's just like, okay, if y'all gonna be together, just kind of hurry it up, like, let's go. So that's pretty much what happened in the epilogue. So that was just really cute. Again, they got married. They are expecting a child. That is so cute. And Zadok, he still clearly works as a surgeon, and she was at home when she found out. So that was really cute. And anywho, I will be reading more of Cara Joy. She did a phenomenal job with this book. She has two more romance stories in the Philly romance series, so I definitely want to read those as well. And then, yeah, like, I want to continue to read like more Christian books and Christian romance books, because that is kind of like my favorite genre, like the rom-coms and things like that. So if you guys have any suggestions, definitely leave them down below. And if you like the AI like pictures that I put throughout this presentation, let me know that as well. I do enjoy doing them because, like, they are like pictures that are similar to what the author wanted in her book, and that's the reason why she made her own book, with the characters. So using her examples of what she wanted her characters to look like, I made my own images with AI, and I thought that was so awesome. I think that's such a great idea, instead of just getting stuff from from Google sometimes, because you know I don't really own access to that stuff with Google. You never want to get into that situation where you're just using somebody else's work. And I wish I can pay to have people do these things, but AI is great as well. But anywho, thank you guys so much for watching. This video is a bit late. I was supposed to post this today, but I'm going to try to post it on Sunday. So if you guys, I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much again for watching, and have a nice night.